Hello and welcome to another episode of Living Well at the Yarra Valley Living Centre. And today I have with me Vasundra Kandpal, and she has started an NGO. So we're going to be speaking about that. So welcome. It's so wonderful to have you here in the Yarra Valley.
Thank you for inviting me.
How did you enjoy your walk around?
Oh, that was beautiful. I am envy that you live in such a beautiful space.
Yeah, I can imagine you envy us for that. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
So Vasundra is going to speak to us about green karma. And just from the name, I think we get a pretty good idea what it's about. But let me ask you, Vasundra, why did you start this NGO?
So I was raised in a city, and my parents belonged to village areas in Himalayas. And every year I would go to Himalayas and would see how beautiful the nature is. And then throughout my time, my visit to my native village, I saw how the beauty of that Himalayas was degrading. So I always wanted to do something about environment. And through my entire studies, I really understood that, how the ecosystems work. And then I figured out through watching a lot of documentaries and doing my research work in wildlife and environment, I understood that, even simple changes like food choices matter so much. If I ask a question that, how your glass of milk in morning affects your tiger population or koalas population, specifically in Australia, people would not be able to understand that. And here what green karma does. So green karma actually join the dots between how your food choices actually impact wildlife, environment.
Wow. And when did you start?
This year, 2009.
So it's a very new NGO.
Yes, yeah.
And what were you studying before that? What were you working, studying in this field?
So yes, so my entire studies are in environment. I have done my PhD in wildlife science. And after that, I have worked in a non-profit organization in India. And I have also worked in a conservation facility in Stanford University in US. So my entire background is in environment and wildlife
What
science.
brought you to Australia?
It's just my husband, he moved here for work, so I had to come along with him.
And this is what you've chosen to do here?
Yes, yeah. I can't do anything else than talking about wildlife conservation and environment conservation.
So let's go back to, how does drinking a glass of milk in the morning for breakfast affect our koalas?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked me this question, because I really want people to start thinking about this subject particularly. So if we see the habitation map of koalas and then overlay it with the grazing map of Australia, or in Australia, so we will see a very clear overlap between the grazing areas and the koala population. And livestock grazing is mainly for beef industry and dairy industry, and dairy industry and beef industry goes hand in hand. You cannot separate the dairy from beef. So that's how how your glass of milk in the morning is actually affecting koalas.
Why can't you separate?
Because dairy industry feeds beef industry, and so I would say that they are the two sides of same coin, because dairy industry actually provides cows. Those are spent cows to the beef industry. So beef industry, I mean, if you talk about the ethical way, and most of the vegetarians don't understand that, vegetarian people think that they are not harming animals because they are not causing any death or suffering to cows.
Yeah, because most people think milk is just, it's from the cow. You don't have to kill the cow.
Yes.
So what's wrong with it?
No, that's not actually true. It's a myth that we are not harming cows if we are only drinking milk, but that's not true. There are a lot of documentaries or small videos that explain this subject very clearly. For example, Dairy is Scary is another 5-minute video, and I highly recommend watching it.
Dairy is scary.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
you will recommend that one.
Yes, it's
5 minutes. That doesn't take long.
It's a powerful video. You will get gist in 5 minutes that how dairy is so exploitative for cows. Yeah.
And have you been a vegetarian since birth?
No, unfortunately. I was raised eating meat. But my grandmother always asked me that, if you love animals, then how you can eat chicken or whatever my family used to feed me. But then I never listened to my grandmother, which I really feel bad about it now. But then I read an article where it said the same thing that, if you love animals, then how you can eat them. And then I changed. So I have been a vegetarian like for 18 years, but now I have been vegan for 4.5 years. And like all vegans, they say that, we regret that we didn't do it sooner. And I have the same feeling that, if somebody would have joined the dots for me, I would have also made the same choices earlier. So this is what exactly green karma also does, because we really know that people are full of compassion, people are full of love. If they are given the right information, they make always the right choice, because no people will actually want to see wildlife dying or farm animals being cruelly treated. Nobody is hard or callous. People are full of love, but they just don't know how to connect to it.
What other Australian wildlife is mostly impacted by the dairy and beef industry? You've mentioned koalas.
Yes.
Otherwise?
So just to bring it to your notice, Australia is the 4th worst country when it comes to species extinction.
Yeah. And give us a few statistics. I have heard them, but I don't remember.
Yes. So it's the top worst country, and we are losing wildlife at a very unprecedented rate. And it's not only koalas, it's also the kangaroo population. Kangaroos are also different varieties, and that is also being affected. And then there are marsupials, and then there are so many critters, like probably there are so many wild animals which we when I say wild animal, does not mean that it has to be a very charismatic big animal, but small butterflies, frogs, and lizards, which are not even recorded yet. We are losing them, and probably we will never even see them, that they actually at some point were existing. Yeah.
So how does the beef and dairy industry, is it the same thing as with you see the same thing?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But the argument is, if we stopped doing the dairy industry and the beef industry, the animals would still be around. So what would happen if we stopped?
I don't agree with that. If we will see the statistics, 4% of mammals are now living on this globe, and the 96% of biomass is mainly of livestock and human population.
Yeah, I read that 96% is farmed animals and 4% is wild.
Yes, yes.
That is incredible. I was shocked when I read that.
Yes, true. And if you are
even birds, right?
Yeah, yes. So for birds, it's 29% of wild birds, but the rest of all are farmed birds, mainly comprising chickens, ducks, and turkeys. Yeah.
So some people may not exactly understand the meaning of karma.
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
Yes. So karma, because I have my Indian origin, so karma, we have always told about karma that you act in a way because it will come back to you. So if you do good, then you will get good. So karma is basically actions, and that's why I try to bring that word, and it has a very spiritual meaning to me, because it's about that. It gives you a guide that you need to do good, and that's why I have used that word in green karma in my organization, because I want everyone, not everyone, I mean, whosoever is connected to nature, how they can take green actions or make their actions greener.
So what's the first step anyone listening can take?
First step, I would say that choose compassion over cruelty, and go plant-based diets. And it's not only about diet, then also comes about complete lifestyle. So stop, and when it comes to lifestyle, then try to practice minimalism, because there's no end to what we need, because it is today
what we want.
Yes, right now in the world
we need very little.
Yes.
Actually, don't we?
We really need very little. It's very unfortunate that our society has come to a point where it is very easy to ask people to make change. So for example, if we ask you to buy electric car, you are happy about that. But if we ask you to cut down one thing from your, that is very hard. So what is this? This is what minimalism is. So asking, so we people want to make changes. They are happy to put a solar panel, but if we ask them to use less electricity, that is hard. If we ask people to make a change, so for example, switch dairy milk with plant-based milk, people are easy, they find it easy. But if we challenge that, milk is not meant for adults. Milk is specifically produced by a mother only for a child, and when you wean that baby, then you don't need milk. So when you ask people to give up on milk altogether, it's very hard. And this is where there's no end to consumption. And honestly, to save environment, we need to stop over consuming and think about and do some conscious consumption. And that's what minimalism is about.
One of the reasons why some organizations call themselves plant-based rather than veganism has become a little bit aggressive.
Yes.
So how do you balance that? Because I know a lot of the listeners would be vegan, but when you say you're, like, the joke is that, how do you know someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Because we often feel attacked when we're not vegan. So I'm vegan, so I don't feel attacked. But how do you temper your passion and your care for the planet, for the animals? How do you temper that with not being too strong with other people?
Yeah, it's a very hard subject to talk, because see, people are not offended when we talk about women rights, when we talk about labor rights, and about LGBT rights, because they are minority people, understand that, and most of the people want everyone to get rights, and they know that they are not the oppressors, and that's why they don't get offended about that. But the moment we talk about animal rights, and then vegans get the name of vegan militants, because when it somewhere it gives an impression that, oh my God, so this time I am the oppressor. Suddenly, when you are talking about women rights, you are talking about labor rights, you are talking about children rights. Everyone is very, they are not the oppressors. It's the different group is oppressors, and you always want these minority groups to get rights. But it changes the chemistry altogether when it comes to animal rights. Because suddenly we realize that, yes, this time we are the oppressors.
We are the oppressors.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So
yes.
it becomes hard.
It becomes a bit personal.
It becomes personal. And that's why people feel attacked. But yes, there are so many protests always going in Melbourne City or world around, but we never talk about that, how inconvenient those protests becomes. But when there is a protest for animal rights, then everyone start talking about that. It is causing
inconvenience.
It's very inconvenient, but yes, it's basically something is hurting here.
So what further studies are you doing?
I think now I should stop studying and
start acting.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah. But for me, I think that, I think for anyone, it's true that, you'd never stop learning. I think that I continue to learn. But now I'm learning in the real world. I've stepped into the real world and I'm running my organization, and I'm every day learning so many different things, that how to communicate with people, how to be compassionate with people, and also understand, that everyone has their own journeys and it will take time. So yeah, a lot of learning for me.
And what are some of the projects that you're working on?
So
Green Karma.
Yeah, so our first program is a school outreach program, which we are about to launch next year. And we are so excited about this program. So we think that, I think everyone would agree that, when kids are born in our families, we bring them toys, and basically all the toys are animals. And kids, they love going to farms and pet animals and go to zoos, and they are so excited to see animals. But slowly our system, teach or condition the kids that they need to be discriminating among these animals. Our system teach school children that, this is the animal you need to love. This is the animal you need to eat, and this is the animal you need to protect. So we want to go into the schools and make them understand that, no, you love all animals. You don't have to be discriminatory among, and you have to be respectful of all sort of life. Because for our own survival, we need to save environment. We need to save wildlife. And we need to also debunk human supremacy, because any form of human supremacy is not right. Yeah.
So how will you work with the children? Because, just talking doesn't always work. So what is some of your activities?
So we go in the schools and we design presentation according to their curriculum. And we talk about these very sensitive subjects in a very careful manner. And then we have also a resource bank developed for school children, where they can actually read everything and make their own choices. So we don't, forcefully ask students to change, but we provide them information so that they can make their informed choices themselves. So we empower students. We don't impose anything on students.
So when we were talking about the koalas, going back to the koalas, do they have any benefit for the world? Like, they're sweet, they're cuddly, they're so cute, and I think we all adore them. But do they have do they bring benefit?
Why do we want every species to have some benefit? And definitely when there is an animal existing, there is a role to that animal. But why, if we can't identify anything that they are doing good, that doesn't mean that that species is not needed anymore.
Yeah, I think it's part of the problem that we look for productivity.
Yes.
And just because a species is not productive, it doesn't mean that they don't belong here.
Yeah.
Is that evolution?
See, and in nature, even in human society, every human is not productive equally. There are people who are less productive. There are people who are more productive, and
There
then
are
there
people that are.
very destructive.
Yes.
So that
So should we finish them?
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, we don't need to see everything in monetary or anything with the production.
Yeah.
It's a very wrong attitude or perspective.
Mm. So what do you think is the trajectory? Are we going to stop this extinction of species? How are we going? Are we getting better or worse? According to your research in Australia, as you said, fourth worst offenders in terms of making species extinct.
Yes.
Is Australia improving?
Until now, not really. But I think we need to get the conversation started. And I'm 100% sure most of the Australians, they love their wildlife. They love their species. They just don't know what is impacting them. And once this conversation gets started, I am sure that they will make the right choice, because I have seen people, Australian people, being so proud of their wild wealth they have.
So you're quite hopeful, or you really believe in humanity, let me say?
I know that humanity is dying, but there's no point thinking about negative. I just believe that the more positive we stay, we would be able to do more positive things, and yeah.
And do you focus at all on health aspects as well?
Yes. So the food that actually destroy our environment, destroy our planet, is actually also destroying our health. And if we start eating healthy, then even our planet and all the life around us will also become healthier. For example, food system actually generates the highest amount of plastic. And where does this plastic come from? All the junk or the packaged food. And the packaged food is never that good for us. And that food exactly is not good. Something that is not good for us, how it can be good for the environment? And what is not good for environment, how it can be good for us? So everything is connected. But humans have learned to see everything in isolation, and that's where we go wrong.
So it's called Green Karma.
Yes.
People can find you in a Facebook or website.
Yes.
How do they find Green Karma?
So we have a website, greenkarma.org.au, and we also have a Facebook handle, and also we are on Instagram.
And you've just started in Melbourne.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty new.
Pretty new. So any support would be very welcome.
Yes.
And I'm sure people will benefit a lot just from looking at the website. There's information on your website about all the things you've been talking about.
Yes.
The effect of farming, factory farming, all these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So can we send some good wishes to our wildlife? Would you like to guide just a little thoughtful reflection on the wildlife?
I ask you.
I'll do that.
Okay,
let's do that, because here we have 200-300 kangaroos that travel from one property to the other. We have 30 deer. We have about half a dozen koalas and wombats. So birds, innumerable birds. So let's just love them and support them, and just spend a moment thinking of what our planet would be without our wildlife. They may not be productive, but they connect us back to ourselves. When we see wildlife, We feel connected to Earth. To the planet. And to ourselves. Because feelings of love emerge. And wonder. Beauty. And joy. So let's just end this session by thinking about, what am I willing to do to sustain and support the small number of wildlife that we still have amongst us. So, thank you very much, Vasundra, for sharing with us. I really just caught her. She came here for a program, and when I heard what work you were involved with, and I could see your passion and your commitment and dedication, and I just wanted to share that with everyone who visits our media platforms. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.